Hi friends, welcome back to my quilt room. And if you're new here, I'm so glad you found my channel. Christmas is in full swing. We've all pretty much decorated or are in the middle of still decorating, and we're all in full swing of buying those Christmas gifts. As sewists, we like to make things, right? If you wanted something different, instead of the traditional placemats or table runners, today I'm going to show you how to make this boxy pouch. It's really cute and you can use it for so many things. They're great for like makeup bags or for toiletries if somebody travels. They're nice to keep your things in on your bureau, or in our case, maybe in our craft rooms with our clips we could put in here, or our needles, or our small scissors and things. They're so versatile. You can also make them in like a faux leather for a guy. They could put their toiletries in here if they travel, or even just to store things in here and put it on their shelf or their bureau. You could also make them for little kids to put their Legos or their little cars or little toys in. It kind of keeps them self-contained. So many things you can do with these. So today I'm going to show you how to make this, and I'm going to show you how to box these corners without any raw edges on the inside. You could also make them as small as you want or as big as you want. This one I made into a hot tool bag, so it's really tall and long, and it's nice because you can keep your hot tools in them. And I used Insulbright for this, so if you put your hot tools in there that are still hot, you're not going to burn yourself when you put this in your bag or wherever you're using it at. So that's always nice, especially for travel. So I hope you'll stay tuned. I'm going to show you how to make this little pouch, and I'll run through this big one too. It's really the same construction. And for this one that I'm going to show you also, I'm going to add some lace to the top. So I'm going to show you that also. So I hope you stay tuned, and let's get started. Okay, so for this pouch, we're going to need 4 pieces of fabric. We're going to need 2 outside and 2 lining, and these are going to be the same size. So the size that I made was 12 by 8. Now I cut my fabric a little larger, at least a ½ inch larger all around, because we're going to quilt this. So we'll also need 2 pieces of batting to quilt our outside fabric. And again, I cut these a little larger just to allow for shrinking or shifting when you're quilting the whole piece. We're also going to need 2 pieces of 3 by 3. And this can be in the same as your outside fabric. It could be like an accent, maybe of the inside fabric. That would look cute too. But whichever you prefer, 2 pieces of 3 by 3, and that's going to make our tabs right here. The other thing we're going to need is a zipper. And you want a zipper at least the length of your bag, which is 12 inches, but you want to cut it a little larger in the beginning because we're doing some maneuvering with this. And you don't want to cut it to the end in case this shifts, or it allows you a little extra room for your zipper pull if it should move on you. So you definitely and absolutely want to cut it a little larger. So that's our zipper and our zipper pull. Now, the reason these are separated is because I buy zipper by the yard. And what that looks like is I get it from Amazon, and it is about 3.5 yards, I think, something like that. And it has all these different colors. And then it also comes with all the pulls that you'll need and multiple pulls. So of course you could make any size zippers you want and still have a pull for it. So I find that to be really economical, and it also gives me all these colors that I can use for whatever I'm making, and pretty much covers the gamut of colors. So that's why we have this zipper pull loose from the zipper, and I'm going to show you how to put this on here. So I'm going to remove this. So we'll need those 2 pieces. And then for this particular bag, I'm going to put some lace on the edges right here. And so I have two pieces of lace. And of course, I have that little larger because I want to make sure I have enough room when I'm sewing. And then I'll trim that down. And of course, you'll need all your sewing tools, your rotary cutter, your ruler, your iron, sewing machine, pins or clips, and a good pair of scissors. And I'll show you, that's for boxing the corners. I'll show you how that's going to come into play. So let's get started making our pouch. So now the first thing we want to do is let's make our tabs, our zipper tabs first, or our zipper pulls, whatever you want to call them. So basically you're going to take your 3x3 square, you're going to fold this in half, and you're going to iron it. Then what you're going to do is you're going to open that up. You're going to fold that to the middle. And when you fold this to the middle, my recommendation is don't fold it all the way to that crease, because when you put these together and then you fold it in half, if that's too close, sometimes it will kink your fabric inside. So what I do is I just fold it just to the outside of that crease, and I'll show you once I get these down. Then you want to fold the other side in. Again, not touching. Okay, and then see, so it's got a little space in there. So now when you fold it, nothing's going to impede that from folding nicely. Okay, so then we want to do that with the other one. Now what we want to do is we want to take these and we want to take them to the machine, and we're going to just top stitch each side. This side so we can keep it closed, and then this side so that it matches. So I'm going to do that real quick and I'll be right back. Okay, so we're all top stitched down, and you can see I just ran a stitch right along the outer edge on both sides, on both tabs and on both sides of the tab. So now what we want to do is we want to prepare our top or our outside. So what we're going to do is we're going to take one piece of batting and one piece of the outer fabric, and we're going to quilt this. Now you can quilt this any way you want. You can do just straight lines. You can do the crosshatch both ways, however you want to do this. Or you can just not quilt it at all. But I think you definitely should have some quilting to keep these together. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take these to the machine, and I'm just going to do some straight line quilting. Okay, so we have those two panels sewn down. So what I'm going to do first, before we do anything else, is I'm going to cut these down. So I need a 12x8. So let me grab my ruler. I need 12x8. So what I'm going to do first is cut my 12. So I'm just going to put this in the middle somewhere because I know I have more than 12 on each side. So this is a 12.5-inch ruler. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut one straight side. Okay, so somehow I lost my footage when I was finishing cutting that up, but we all know how to square up fabric. So I'm just going to move on, and we're going to insert our zipper now. So put this aside. So now I have my zipper, okay? And obviously it's longer than my piece. So what I want to do now is put my zipper pull on my zipper. Now this is the way I do mine. I pull this apart a little bit. I take my zipper, and with the one where the bar is, so you have one open and then one has a little bar in the middle. I take that and I put it on my first side. Get that in the way. What you need to do is you need to put it in on an angle because you want to get around this plate right here. If you just go in straight, it's not going to, it's going to get stuck on there. So sometimes you got to go in at an angle. Once it goes in, I'm going to stop it right at that bottom. Right at the bottom. I'm going to hold it, and then I'm going to put my other side in. Same way. I'm going to go in at an angle. I'm just going to pull it down a little bit. Now for me, I never get them even. So what I do now is I put it down, pull that tab up. I put my fingers on both sides of that zipper ribbon, whatever you want to call it, and I pull up. Sometimes you have to maneuver a little bit. Now, if you feel like that's not straight, and it isn't, you see this little juts out here, I just go all the way up to the top, open that up, and now it's straight. So now our zipper's on. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my lace and I'm going to, what I did was I trimmed down this to a little less than a half an inch. I'm hoping that's enough. So I'm going to line this up with the top edge of my outer fabric. Okay, then I'm going to take my zipper teeth side down, so face side down, and I'm going to line that up also with the top of my outer fabric. And I'm just going to put a couple clips in there to hold it because we still have to put our lining on. So I just want to hold this for a little bit, and then we're going to take our lining piece. Now my lining piece is directional, so you want to make sure it's facing down. So now I'm going to line this up with my outer fabric below it, lining it up with the top and the sides and even the bottom. So I'm going to put these clips, attach them with that, finesse it a little if I have to. Okay. Okay. And now what I want to do is to make sure that everything is lined up and clipped down. So now I'm going to add some more clips because I'm comfortable with that. And I'm also going to clip over here so I know that it's hopefully not going to move. Okay. And you can put as many clips or pins as you wish. So now what I'm going to do is take this to the machine. I'm going to sew this all down. And now you can use a zipper foot if you wish. Or what I'm going to do is use my stitch in the ditch foot. And I'm just going to run that right along my zipper teeth underneath here. And I'll take you to the machine and show you how I'm going to do that. Okay, so I still have my stitch in the ditch foot on my machine. And what I'm going to do is, the first thing I'm going to do before I stitch this is to make sure that my zipper doesn't come apart and my zipper tab doesn't fall off. So what I usually like to do is somewhere outside of the range here, I just put a stitch straight down. And just take your time over those teeth. And then I'm just going to flip it this way. I'm going to pull that zipper in. I'm going to hold this closed. Get that lace out of the way. Hold that closed. and sew. Now I know that no matter what I do, that zipper is not going to fall off. And then I can get that out of my way too when I sew. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my stitch in the dish foot and line that bar up in the middle with my zipper teeth. Not too close, but right outside there. And I'm just going to run that straight down, feeling my teeth as I go to make sure that I'm stitching close to it. Okay. Okay, so I have that all sewn down. And now what we want to do is we want to take our lining piece and we want to flip this whole thing over like this. And we want to make sure that we're meeting up the bottom. And we're going to iron this so it'll stay down because then we want to top stitch it also. And look how cute that lace is. So what we want to do now is I'm going to iron this back so it stays for when we want to top stitch this. Because when we top stitch it, that's really going to hold that in place. And you can iron your zipper. It's nylon. It's not going to burn or anything like that. And now we want to make sure that that lining is all the way down. You got to pull it a little. That's fine. Okay, so what we want to do now is we want to take this to the machine and we just want to top stitch right here. So I'll be right back after I do that. Okay, so now it is all top stitched down and now it'll stay pretty much flat for you. So now what we want to do is we want to take our other piece of lace and we want to lay that face side down, same as the other piece. I'm going to try to line up those scallops here. Okay. And since this is a little fidgety, I'm going to just put a couple clips in there. Okay, now we're going to take our top piece, or outer piece, I should say, and line that up with the top. Again, I'm just going to clip that down so that our layers stay together. So now what I want to do is I want to flip this over. And also I'm going to make sure I'm lined up here, which looks like I'm not. So I want to make sure that I'm lined up. Okay, then I want to take this lining, right sides together with this lining, and I'm going to line this up. Okay, making sure this all lines up. Okay, so then I'm going to put some more pins, make sure this doesn't move. I'm going to clip this side here, and I'm going to clip over here. Put some more at the top because I don't want any of this to move. And I'm just going to double check that everything is lined up. Some clips on the sides. I really want this to stay stable. I'm going to double check that everything's lined up. Okay. So now we should be all lined up, and we are not at here. So double check all sides. Okay. So now I'm going to take this to the machine. I'm going to do the same exact thing. I can feel my zipper. I'm just going to run that stitch in the ditch foot all the way down. Again, if you want to use a zipper foot, absolutely do that. So I'm going to do that and I'll be right back. Okay, so we have the other side sewn down and I ironed it and I top stitched it just like the other side. So we're going to check our zipper. Our zipper runs freely, so we are fine there. There's the back. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to take those tabs that we made in the beginning. We want to fold it in half and we want to put these tabs on. So I'm going to move my zipper back so I can make sure this is touching. And what we're going to do is we're going to take that tab and we are going to put that at the top of our edge, but slightly over because I want to make sure I'm catching that. And you want to pin that. Now, I'm going to, I don't think a clip will work because of this lace. Yeah, I think it's going to get caught in there. So I'm just going to pin it. And I'm just going to, oops, make sure that zipper stays together. I'm just going to pin it like this. And then once I get to the machine, I can hold it down. So there's that one. Same with the other one. We're going to fold this in half. Now this, we should have no problem because it's staying together on this side. Put that just slightly above that edge and take another pin. And pin that. There we go. Again, I'm just going to take it to the machine, take that pin out and hold it down and just, we're going to stitch and I'm going to back stitch. So I'm probably going to go over it a couple times just to make sure that that is firmly sewn down. So I'm going to do that and I'll be right back. Okay, so now our zipper tabs are sewn down. And now what we want to do is we want to cut off any remaining zipper tape. So I'm just going to take my ruler, line that up, and just cut that off. Okay, and then same with this one. Okay, so now we are straight, our tabs are on, and now we're going to go to the next step. So what we want to do now is we want to take our lining and our outer fabric and we want to bring them together. And now we want to line these up. And we're going to just clip them because we're going to sew them together. Okay, just making sure that's lined up. Okay, now we're going to go to the other side. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to line these up together. But now when we sew this side, we want to make sure that we leave like a 5 or 6 inch opening so that we can turn this right side out. So I'm just going to grab my pen and just put a mark like right here, maybe right here. I like to leave a good enough space. That might be a little overkill, but I want to make sure I have enough room to turn this right side out. And it will be, of course, a bigger opening to stitch up at the end. So if you want to make that smaller, for sure, do that. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to sew 1/4 inch straight down, leaving that open. And I actually might even close that a little bit, but when I get to the machine, I'll decide that. And then sew 1/4 inch on this side all the way down. And let me do that and I'll be right back. So we have that all sewn down. We have this side straight sewn down, and then this side we left a little gap. And I did, I'm going to just take my marks out. I did actually shorten mine because that was a little overkill, I think. So now what we want to do is we want to take our bag and we want to turn it kind of like sideways. And we want to line up all those seams. And then what we want to do is we want to take that and we want to just press open our seams, because that will eliminate some bulk and make it easier for when we have to sew it flat. Okay. So now what we want to do is we want to sew straight across here and straight across here. So I'm going to take that to the machine and I'll be right back. Okay, so now we have it all sewn down on both sides. So now it looks like this. We just have these pieces here. We have our lining and then we have our front. And then we have our opening here. And our zipper should be open inside because we're going to need to make sure that we can turn that right side out. So if you don't have that done, you want to make sure that you have that open right now. So just reach in there. So now we want to box our corners. Now there is 2 ways you can do this. You can turn this right side out and then like box your corners like this. And I think I showed this in one of my videos where I did a little pouch. And then you can box your corners like that. Of course, on the right side. But I'm going to do it so that there's no seams showing in this. And and you could also do a French seam too when you do that. But I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to do it a way that many people do it. And the reason I'm doing it that way is because I found it really difficult to find a tutorial on how to do this. I wanted to show it to you in case you wanted to do this. So this is we're not going to have any seams on the inside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to mark 1.5 inches squared and cut that out here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ruler and since this is a 6.5, I can use that half. And I'm going to line up 1.5 mark from here, this seam line, not the edge of the fabric, the seam line. And I'm going to move in 1.5. So basically, because this is a 6.5, I'm going to just put it on the 5 mark here and then the 2 mark here. So that's 1.5. Oops, sorry. Take that back. Okay, that's 1.5 there and then 1.5 here. From that seam line again. I can't stress that enough. So I'm going to mark it. And I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to come up 1.5 and in 1.5. So come up 1.5 from the seam line, in 1.5 from the edge here. And I'm going to, again, I'm going to mark it. Okay, so we have them all marked. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut them out. Okay, so those are all cut out. Now, this is kind of the tricky part. What we want to do is on the outside fabric part, we want to take our corners and we want to match our seams up with this line here, match it with the seam here. Okay, and we want to sort of lay that flat now. And I'm just going to turn that seam there. Okay, I'm going to grab some pins, making sure this is laying flat. And we want to clip that, or pins or clips, whichever you prefer. I'm going to hold that. And then we're going to do the same with this. So now it's flat. Okay. Now what you want to do is you could do all 4 of these, or you could incorporate your lining with it. So I'm just going to show you how to incorporate the lining. So now what we have, let me re-clip that because I had the lining in there and I don't want that in there. Okay, so when you clip it, you just want to clip the outside. You don't want to clip that in there yet. And I'm going to make sure I clip that seam down. Okay, so now the lining for this corner is over here, and it's on the outside of this. So what you want to do is you want to open that up, and you want to come behind. First, let me grab my corner here. And you almost want to do the same, well, you do want to do the same thing, but you're going to come behind there, behind that top, and you're going to add the lining to it. And I'll show you a couple times here because it does get a little tricky. So you just want to incorporate that in there too. Lining those seams up. And it does get a little fiddly, so you want to just take your time. Pull on the fabric if you have to, making sure that they meet. Put as many clips in there as you want. Now I got a little pucker right here, so I don't want that, but it's probably because my seam here is coming open. I probably could have backstitched there just to hold it, but and then we want to make sure this lays flat. Okay. Put one there, and then I'm going to put one here. All right, so that's one corner. Now you want to go to the opposite side. And you want to pull this apart so that that is now, you're going to lay that flat. And I'm going to fold my seam down so it lays flat there. Making sure that my points now are laying flat also. Let's put these clips over this side. Okay, one here. The outer part seems to be pretty easy. It's winding up that lining with it. Now again, our lining is back here. So what we want to do is we want to open that seam, or I should say that corner, and lay that flat. And then have it meet up with the corner here. Hopefully this is all making sense to you. I'll be honest with you, it took me a bit to figure this out. So many people do it this way, but for some reason, I don't know why, people don't really show you. They just sort of jump over it. It was very frustrating. So I finally had to figure it out and thought if anybody wants to do this, I should put a tutorial out. So there we go. Now that's that side. Now we're going to go to the opposite side and do the same thing. I'm going to pull these out. Grab those points, and now we're going to lay that flat. Make sure you're not getting your lining in there yet. Okay, now we're going to take our lining that's behind us now, and we're going to pull that open and lay that flat. And then we're going to meet that up with the outer lining, or the outer, the outer fabric. Take that edge through there. It sort of falls into place once you get it straightened out. There we go, nice and flat. If you want to put some extra clips in there, feel free. Sometimes I do because I don't want it to come undone or pop out or move on me. Okay, one more. If I can find it. There it is. Okay, so now same with this one. So now I'm happy with that. So now what you want to do is you want to take it to your machine. I know it looks like a hot mess. You want to take it to your machine, and each corner you're just going to sew your 1/4 inch on all 4 of the corners. And I'm going to do that, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I just wanted to show you how I do like one of the corners, because it does look like a mess, doesn't it? So basically I'm just going to take one of the corners and I'm going to lay that flat on the machine, and I'm going to put that under my foot, put my presser foot down, and I'm just going to sew my 1/4 inch. Just take your time. You want to make sure you're getting all those layers. You can backstitch if you want from the stop and the start, but that's totally up to you. And there we go. And it looks like we got all our layers in there. So now you're just going to just go around, pull that out, lay it down, and then do the next one, and so on. Okay, so here is our bag, and I just wanted to show you what it looks like when it's all sewn. All our corners are done. So now what we're going to do is we're going to find that opening right here, and we're going to start pulling out our inside. Just take your time, and you should be fine because you backstitched, so your threads are not going to pull open. And now your zipper was open, so now we can turn that inside out. And we're just going to poke out our corners. They should come out pretty easy. You don't even need a point turner for this. Okay, last one. Okay, and there we have it. Now all you need to do is to sew up that bottom. Just want to put a little top stitch on that. And there is our little boxy bag. And look how cute that lace is on top. Oh, I really love that. How cute is that? Here's our tabs that we put in. And you don't even need like zipper tabs because that really kind of takes the place of the zipper tabs, your little pulls here. So there's the boxy bag. So I hope you enjoyed that tutorial on the boxy bag. This is so adorable. I really love the addition of the lace on this. And again, this is the hot tool bag that I showed you in the beginning. Now this one is made the same exact way, except that it's 22 long, and then you would cut 9 inches for each of your 2 outer fabrics and then your 2 linings. So 22 by 9, 2 for the lining, 2 for the outer fabric. Hopefully that makes sense. And then your tabs you would need, and then a zipper. So I hope you enjoyed that. And it's a great little gift to make someone and make some for yourself because I think we all need little bags. I love little bags. So if you enjoyed this video, I hope you give it a thumbs up and I hope you subscribe and definitely hit that notification bell so that you know when my next video comes out. Until I see you in the next one, happy sewing and sew something happy.